What's going on, world? DS1 Ross. I'm back. Shout out to everybody. Welcome back to Sheep Stay Sleep TV, Sheep Stay Sleep Podcast, Sheep Stay Sleep live streams. I'm your host, DS1 Ross. Of course, shout out to everybody. Shout out to all my supporters. Shout out to everybody who's going to tune in tonight. Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Tonight, we're going to continue the Black History Month series of 2018. And I have another powerful sister here, Dr. Milana Karinga, or better known as Barbara Sizemore. Dr. Milana Karinga, family. And we here tonight to celebrate this sister, beautiful sister, highly educated, very influential, and her story needs to be told. So tonight, family, again, I will be reading some information on Barbara Sizemore, also known as Dr. Milana Karinga, the educator. And then I will be playing a lecture of hers so y'all can listen to how powerful this sister was. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in, staying on track with me, Sheep Stay Sleep TV, and the Black History Month series of 2018. If you just joining on board, you dropping in through the chat, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all share the show. We need as much people to learn who Milana Karinga is. Very, very important. So shout out to y'all, man. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. So I'm going to start here with reading some information on the sister, and then I will be playing the lecture. So let's get to it, family. Barbara Sizemore, born December 17th, 1927. She died July 24th, 2004. She was an American teacher and researcher in the field of education. In 1973, she became the first African American woman to head the public school system in a major city. She was elected superintendent of the District of Columbia Public Schools. If y'all don't know the District of Columbia, that's DC, Washington, DC Public Schools. Barbara Ann Sizemore was born to Sylvester and Delilah LaFoon in Chicago, Illinois, and was raised in Terre Haute, Indiana. She attended segregated elementary and middle schools and graduated from high school at the age of 16. Sizemore attended Northwestern University, where she received a bachelor's degree in classical languages in 1947 and a master's degree in elementary education in 1954. She later returned to school and received a PhD from the University of Chicago in educational administration in 1979. Sizemore had began her career in Chicago public schools, teaching English and reading in elementary and high schools from 1950 to 1963, and serving as a principal of elementary and high schools from 1963 to 1967. In 1969, she was named district superintendent of the Woodlawn Experimental Schools. She was also a member of the adjunct faculty at Northeastern Illinois University from 1965 to 1971. Sizemore taught at the University of Pittsburgh from 1975 to 1992. It was there that she began her research on low income African American students in standardized tests, which she continued as a dean of the School of Education at DePaul University in 1992. Sizemore's first book, a version of her doctoral thesis titled The Ruptured Diamond, The Politics of the Decentralization of the District of Columbia Public Schools, was published in 1981. Her second book, Walking in Circles, The Black Struggle for School Reform, was published posthumously in 2008. Some of her awards were Sizemore served as a professor, as Professor Emerita at DePaul University and a scholar in residence at the National Alliance of Black School Educators from the 1970s until her death. She was the recipient of 4 honorary doctorates and was a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, the Urban League, NAACP, and Phi Delta Kappa. She received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Research Focus on Black Education Special from the Research Focus on Black Education Special Interest Group of the American Education Research Association. The School of Education at Destiny University named the Barbara A. Sizemore Distinguished Professorship in Urban Education in her honor. So as y'all can see, this sister was very, very intelligent and very active throughout the educational system. She was in 2 sororities. She was part of the NAACP. She was part of the Urban League. She had 4 doctorates. She was an educator. And she focused on the education of our people. It was very, very important to this sister. Education was very important. So now we're going to get into some of her her speaking. I'm gonna let y'all listen to this powerful sister. It's a 2-hour lecture, but I'm gonna let it play for about 30 to 40 minutes. This woman is powerful, man. Dr. Milana Karenga, she's powerful. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I appreciate y'all for coming through. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all share the show. Very, very important, family. I want to let y'all know I'm exercising fair use. This is fair use for educational purposes only. For those of you who may be
slightly anticipating and anxious to hear whatever the topic is. Discourse, is it? Racial discourse. That will come with Dr. Problem and Problematic or whatever. That will come when Dr. Karenga comes. We have a warm greeting from my beloved sister and boss.
Thank you very much, Shashi. My presentation this evening is dedicated to Dr. Charlotte Shashi Lawrence McIntyre. Shashi has been trying to hold AHSA together. Can't hear me? Raise your hand. Shashi has been trying to hold AHSA together for quite some years now, and those of us in AHSA are very grateful to her for her work and her commitment. The topic of this President's Forum is the poverty of race transcendent discourse, the paradigm and problematic. Dr. Karenga will talk to you about that. I am not. I want to talk to you about the education of our children in public schools. And I want to talk to use as my case specific Chicago. Now, I know that many of you do not come from Chicago and probably are not aware of what is going on in Chicago. So I'm going to first give you just a little brief history of it. Won't be long. And then I want to talk to you about what's going on. Chicago has been trying to take back the schools from the African American majority. 60% of the students in the Chicago public schools are African American, 30% are Hispanic, and 10% are white. The Chicago majority has been trying to take the schools back from the African American majority, and I want that to be a contradiction in your mind. That's why I'm saying it that way. And it's been 3 phases to it. Phase 1 was to get rid of Ruth Love and anybody else who was interested in educating our children. Now, I mean by that, teaching them how to read, write, and do mathematics. The second phase was to take the governance of the system and put it in the hands of the people so that adults' needs would be taken care of, and whether or not they met the needs of the children was secondary and still is. The third phase, and in that phase, this whole restructuring did 3 very important things. It eliminated positions, and when you eliminate the position, you eliminate the person in the position, and took away the whole African American middle management of the school system and gave it to other groups. But they left the top people, the superintendent and the deputy superintendent and the assistant superintendent and the chief financial officer, African American, which gives you the illusion that you're still handling it. Once these positions were eliminated, the people in them had to go or be demoted. And so a whole group of African Americans with a lot of experience about how you educate African American children, people committed to that, left the school system. Phase 3 is about to commence, and that is the privatization of public schooling. And Benno Schmidt was here last week, my friends, my brothers and sisters, talking to us about Edison Corporation, which intends to take over the public schools and run them for profit. Now, brothers and sisters, if you just know this much about capitalism, you know that when your goal is to make a profit, everything else is secondary. Which means that the education of our children will be secondary to making money. Now, there are a lot of brothers and sisters that say, well, maybe we this and take over these schools and run them ourselves. Well, yeah, maybe we ought to do that. We ought to do that. But do we have enough money to fight with them? Do we have enough capital to run most of these schools where our children are? Or will we just take 2 or 3 of them and then 404 of them will go to Xerox, IBM, Paramount Pictures? We need to think about this. And we need to plan for it. Because if we are going to go for privatization, sisters and brothers, we need to start saving some capital. Quit building churches and build schools. Put our money where our mouth is. And do it. But if we're just going to sit around and talk about it, let me tell you, Edison's going to grab it and go. They need to think about this. The privatization of public schools raises several questions around the protection of access, participation, and successful outcomes in education for minorities. Now, the book that all the white people are reading about this, brothers and sisters, is a book called Public Education and Autopsy by Myron Lieberman. And this is what he says in that book. He says that civil rights refer to civil capacity to contract, to own property, to make wills, to give evidence, and to sue and be sued. Now, this is big news to me, because I always thought that civil was derived from civis feminine, which is the Latin word meaning citizen, and that citizen rights were embodied in the Bill of Rights, that's 1 through 10, amendments to the U.S. Constitution 1 through 10, and Amendment 14. And any of you know who that much about the African American struggle for education in this country knows that our entire struggle has been around the 14th Amendment. Now, Amendment 14 says, 1, a citizen is anyone who is born in the United States or naturalized therein. No state shall abridge citizenship rights without due process, and every citizen should have equal protection of the law. Now, if these are not citizen rights or civil rights, then I just don't know what I'm talking about. Furthermore, this man says in his book, listen to this, as used here, the term civil rights does not include any financial entitlements, brothers and sisters, or protection against all private expressions of prejudice. It does, however, include the right not to be subject to discrimination by government. Do you understand what I said? I said that a private school can discriminate against you if they want to. After all, it's private. Do you get the message? Thank you. So since private schools would be entitled to private expressions of prejudice, where does this leave groups which are discriminated against? Like you know who? This is what this man also says in his book. Now, this is the book that the people are reading who are going for privatization. They sent me a copy. Lieberman states that private schools have the right to exclude students they do not want, while public schools enjoy free tuition. So it's a quid pro quo. He argues that public schools have the advantage because people can go to them free. He is willing, however, to take this advantage away from the public schools, but unwilling to disturb the private schools' advantage. In other words, we're going to have private schools, they're going to charge, or we're going to give vouchers so everybody has to pay the school, right? So the free tuition is gone because everybody will be paid. But private schools can still exclude. Something's wrong with that, brothers and sisters. Now, in this new system of 3-tiered schools, that's those that are running for profit, those that are running for not for profit, like parochial schools, Catholic schools, and the public schools, what advantage would the public schools enjoy to offset the unfair advantage then held by private schools? And it would be different, brothers and sisters, if we were all together on this. But can't you see these middle-class Negroes in their Cadillacs driving off to these private schools trying to get in there and run away from the rest of y'all? We're not even together on it. We're not even together on it. I got brothers and sisters in schools that are prejudiced against their children, paying big bucks for them to go there every day. And if I give you their name, you know. Leave them in states. Leave them in states. The following, this is what he says about bilingual education. He says, fundamentally, bilingual education is based on ethnic politics. Hispanic political leaders view bilingual education as a source of patronage and jobs for their constituents. Lip service is paid to integration and proficiency in English. Failure to achieve these objectives is allegedly due to failure to fund bilingual education adequately. In economic terms, bilingual education is a prime example of the subordination of consumer to producer interests. Now, if that's what they got to say about bilingual education, when these kids speak Spanish, what do you think they're going to say about Afrocentric education? Now, this comment comes from one who advocates the privatization of education for minority children. So their civil rights can be abrogated. Moreover, no notion of the advantages of knowing two languages exists here. In almost all the other industrial nations of the world, it's good to know more than one language, but not here. Other recommendations made by this man to make a profit are these. Let students leave school at 14. How do you like that? Private schools should not be required to accept all children. Ethnic disparities should not be considered prima facie evidence that discrimination exists. Private schools can discriminate legally. Groups that wish to transmit their own heritage should be required to pay for it. Damn. Are you listening? More disturbing is his willingness to accept the thesis that African Americans are genetically inferior as valid. And that's the reason he states that schools ought to be able to exclude. Find this on page 356 of this book, especially when some of your friends send it to you to read. To elicit your support as a middle-class Negro for private school. On page 210, he says, personally, I do not agree that public policies that have a disparate impact on blacks are necessarily racist. When does one know when they are? What are the criteria for determination? What difference does it make if private schools are exempt and able to discriminate on this basis anyway? The Supreme Court, in its decision in Plessy versus Ferguson, deciding that segregation, if equal, only connotated the inferiority of the Negro in the mind of the Negro, reveals the fallacy behind these ideas. This man notes that multicultural education, race problems, educating the minorities have destroyed public education. He boldly says in a whole chapter that the reason we in the mess today is because of y'all. You raised such a ruckus about equity. You raised so much cane about being segregated. You fussed and stormed so much about being educated. You made the white people angry with the public school. And so now it's your fault that they disappeared. This man advises all of these white people to whom he serves as their high-price consultants. He advises them to abolish school boards or have them appointed by mayors. Would you like they can do that for you? Down with democratic elections. Put people in jail if they cheat on tests. Oh, hey, you want to wake up? Because this is what it's done for you. This is what this reform was getting to with your cooperation. Supply and demand paradigm of capitalism will be working in the market plan of private for-profit schools. The better the schools, the scarcer and more expensive they will become, putting them out of the reach of the working poor. And this will create a system of premier schools and pauper schools, relegating once again our people to an inferior universe of education, just as it was done in the first Jim Crow. Our brothers and sisters, can't you see this cycle coming around again? We went through the first Reconstruction and the first Jim Crow, then the second Reconstruction. This is the second Jim Crow. Wake up! The things that are happening to us now happened once before. We're going through this again, where we are being the first Reconstruction, the big promises of the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment were given to us, and we created the public school system in the South according to Du Bois and Black Reconstruction, the founding of the public schools. And our people rushed into the schools to get educated, to read, write, do mathematics. And then what happened? Cut them off. And we went into Jim Crow and separation, separate but equal, and they were never equal. That's what's happening to us now. That's what's going to happen through this, unless we intervene and do something different. Now, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I've been talking about this before you for so long. I hate to come back with it again. I find myself with one note, Pollyanna, talking about this over and over. New audiences, to be sure, same message. All children can learn, but this pervasive belief that somehow poverty prevents you from learning is just something I cannot understand. I cannot understand it. I cannot understand it. How African American people, who poor as they can be, can believe that poverty keeps you from reading. How many of you were poor when you were little? Okay, same people who raise your hand, same people. How many of you can read? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Did you see Oprah the other morning? Did you see her? Or these African American teachers were out there talking about these kids like they were some kind of dog, inhuman animals that you have to cuss at and beat in order to get them to understand what's going to happen. Everybody jumped on the mother who was defending her kid. I mean, like it was really crazy. It was really crazy. Walk around and talk to people and find out how they feel about our children in school. They don't talk about them like they're people. They don't talk about them like they're students. They don't talk about them like they can learn, like they're not normal people who deserve love and care and affection and a good teacher. Let me tell you that a child whose mother is a junkie, let me tell you, brothers and sisters, a child whose mother is a junkie and whose father is in prison has as much right to learn how to read as my child does. I have spent the last 15 years of my life studying high-achieving, predominantly African-American schools. My research is clear that proper teaching in a way which helps children to overcome the exigencies of poverty, crime, violence, disrupted families, and disorganized communities produces high achievement. For 10 years now, at these conferences, I have given you the evidence, the addresses and telephone numbers of these schools. I even brought a video. Asa Hilliard and I served as co-chairpersons to AIT, and we now have videos of these schools that we can show you. These schools got principals in them. They have addresses and telephone numbers. You folks who live in Chicago could jump on the bus and go to Pittsburgh. Those of you who live in Atlanta in the South can go to Dallas. These schools are real. And in these schools, our children are learning. Not at some little old penny ante level, like people say, oh, they grew to 2 months and 30 months. No, no. The Fayette Elementary School in the Pittsburgh public school system is 98% Black. The children live in Bedford Housing Authority, which is the largest public housing in Pittsburgh. Only 19% of these children live with their mother and father. It is a high crime area, drug infested. It's in Ward 5, District 1, the highest crime area in Pittsburgh. And this school was the highest achieving of the 51 elementary schools in the Pittsburgh public school system in 1990 in mathematics. 90% of these children scored at or above the national norm on the California Achievement Test in mathematics. Since that time, Madison School, down the road and around the corner, where the children come from, the second largest public housing in Pittsburgh, was the highest achieving in reading and mathematics for 2 years in a row. Now, there are 51 elementary schools in the Pittsburgh public school system, brothers and sisters, and they still have 5 all-white schools. So don't sell that stuff to me. I don't want to hear it. This is the problem. The problem is getting our people. Let's don't worry about white people right now. All right. Getting our people to believe that our children can learn. Getting our people to believe that they should learn. That's the first thing. And then getting them to do it. That's the next thing. The Chicago Reform Law of 1988, the reform is to take the school system back to the white majority. That's what it's supposed to do. And it's for who? Adults who need jobs, because IBM and Xerox are firing them, and they have to have someplace to go. That's what all these new laws about. No, you don't have to be certified now. Governor Edgar has one coming up. New Jersey has one. That where now you don't need to have a lot of psychology courses or methodology courses or courses. Gen Ed. I mean, you could be a plumber, a fired plumber from someplace, and come in and teach our kids. Of course, anybody can teach our kids, right? Because they stupid anyhow. Huh? Listen, it's very careful you to listen to what's being talked about. Because if you're going to have a position on it, we need to develop one. Presently, I am working with 12 schools on the implementation of 10 routines which have proved effective in the schools I have studied. Some of these schools are going to be successful. Others will not. Governance, no matter who does it, brothers and sisters, is not the answer alone. Innovation will not solve this problem alone. Neither will additional resources solve this problem alone. Small class size won't solve this problem, or any other newfangled fad. What has to change, brothers and sisters, is what goes on in the classroom, what goes on between the teacher and the student over the medium. Let me just give you one little example, and you will understand this. In a high-achieving school, when the student doesn't get it, the first thing the teacher looks at is the medium. That's what he or she is teaching and what he or she is using to teach it. The question the teacher asks in the high-achieving school is, does it fit? Is it the kind of thing I should use? Am I doing the right thing? In a low-achieving school where our children are concentrated and can't read, the first thing the teacher looks at is get the system principal. Get him out of here. Do something to him. There is a stark difference between these two schools. In a high-achieving schools, the teachers teach what the children need to know, not what's in the cotton-picking book. These books weren't written by people who know your children. You cannot get a textbook. You get this one. This is Sharshi's book called Feminizing the Race. You cannot get a book and the book is going to tell you what to teach. You have to do an assessment of what your children know. And then what is it they need to know in order to be a successful student in that subject and prepare for the next level. That's what you have to teach. I find teachers in low achieving school, here it is, October the 15th, and they still reviewing addition and subtraction. And everybody in the class can do it. That's a waste of their time. Walk around. Watch how many teachers you see sitting on the seat. You can't teach school that way. Not to African American children. You got to walk and talk. You got to walk around. Show them how to do things. Communicate with them. Give immediate feedback. You can't sit on your can and grade papers and teach. That's not the way you do it. When you see a lot of writing going on in classes, that is not teaching, brothers and sisters. That's control. You control a kid when you got him writing. had written the spelling words. He was working on spelling words. No, it was a girl. She was working on spelling words. And this is what happened. She had written her spelling word orphan, O-R-P-H-A-N. Okay, she had written it about 10 times. So I said to her, I said, oh, that's nice, honey. I said, you sure can write good. I said, what does orphan mean? She said, we ain't got to that yet. Now, anytime you have somebody write a word 10 times, they don't even know what it is. That's not teaching, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you call control. So beware when you walk through these classrooms. See, first, look for teachers. Teachers sitting on his or her can, got a problem. Secondly, the teacher's always grading papers, got a problem. That means too much writing's going on in there, right? And not enough teaching. Teaching is not synonymous with writing or reading. Teaching is a whole different act where you communicate with another human being over a meeting to find out do they understand a skill or a concept. And it's that you give to them, they give to you. In a teaching learning situation, the teacher's as much as a student as a student because you are constantly learning what it is about your student that you need to know so that you can communicate with your student better in order to do what? Learn them. Too many, and you can teach, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, you can teach anybody anything that you know. And you can't teach people what you don't know. But you can teach anybody anything that you know, any age, blind, crippled, or crazy. If you know it, you can teach it to anybody, anytime, any age. Just another prerequisite you have to have. You have to know it, and you have to understand how your learner processes information and applies it to use. You have to know that. If you got those two things together, you can teach anybody anything. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be 67 years old, December the 17th, 1927. I started teaching when I was 19 years old in Chicago Public Schools. I have never, ever had a student I could not teach how to read. Never. Someone called me the other day and told me that Ira Murchison had died. I remember when Ira Murchison was in 8th grade at the John D. Shoup School at 1460 West 112th Street, and he couldn't read, and he was very disturbed about that. And he told me one day, he said, I'm going to be the world's greatest runner. He said, but there's one thing I don't know how to do. I can't read well. I said, do you want to learn how to read? He said, yes. He said, now I'm going to teach you. And he learned how to read. In 1 year, he learned how to read. It should not take us 180 days to teach anybody anything, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. You can teach a dumb dog a trick in 90 days. A human being is a wonderful person. A human being has enormous intelligence. All human beings are gifted in this way. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether they're slow learners or moderate learners or fast learners. You can teach a person who's a slow learner to be a fast learner, just like you can teach a slow reader to be a speed reader. There's no secret about it. All that you need is a teacher who knows it herself or himself and understands how the learner processes information. Teachers do not spend enough time doing either one of those things. We don't spend enough time. I am amazed at the number of my students at DePaul planning to be teachers who do not read. Rough. You can't learn everything you need to know from television. I mean, they haven't put all the information you need on video yet. I mean, they're getting there, CD-ROMs are trying, but it's not there yet. If we want children to be readers, we have to be readers. At least teachers have to be readers. Those are some of the things that I'm noticing happening. I want to bring to your attention today. I spend almost all my time in schools. This is the first time in my life I have worked at an institution where I did not get penalized for helping the poor. And oddly enough, it's a Catholic urban white university. The whole time I was in the Chicago public schools, I had to fight to help poor people. I mean, fight. And eventually had to leave my job because it was such a struggle. And I was determined I was not going to work for James Moffitt. So I left. And Manfred Bird wouldn't deliver me. So I had to go. But I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, that we know everything that we need to know in order to teach the children that we have and love. One last note on Benno Schmidt. Everybody know who Benno Schmidt is now? Okay, Benno Schmidt was the president of Yale University, and he quit to be the president of the Edison Corporation. The Edison Corporation is owned by Whittle, which owns Communication One, where they're teaching your kids with the commercials on television. Y'all know this? Hey, you better wake up, brothers and sisters. You gotta know this. You have to know this. Because these are the people going to take over the public schools. How many of you planning to teach or are teaching? You going to continue? Are you going to continue? All right, you got to understand what's happening. Okay, everybody know who Benno Schmidt is now? All right. He has hired Deborah McGriff, African-American former superintendent of Detroit, as his right-hand girl, lady, woman, whatever. Help, assistance, whatever. And she is now at a six-figure salary, I understand. And she is now recruiting African Americans to be principals of these schools. You will not be fighting Benno. Are you hearing me? Thank you. This is what he said in his speech here last week. He says, teachers and principals.
Now, family, that was Dr. Barbara Sizemore. That was Dr. Barbara Sizemore, the educator. That woman was extremely, extremely powerful, and she lived a very long time. She was born in 1927. She died in 2004. She lived a very, very long time, and as y'all could see, she was very passionate. You see, a lot of our Black historians, they were very passionate about their people. You know, they weren't quick to throw out who they were. They weren't ashamed to be who they were. And they wanted to empower their people. This is what it was all about. You see? And this is why I decided to do this dissertation on Barbara Sizemore, because there's not a lot of Black women educators that's revered in society today. You know, I actually found out about this sister from a video somebody sent to me. A friend of mine, she sent the video to me. And it wasn't this video that I just let y'all listen to. It was another video. But this woman was a great leader. She had a great mind. She had a great spirit. And she loved us. The education of our children and of our people was extremely important. Very, very important. And as she said, what she started to see was we were getting the shitty end of the stick based on people just wanting to make money off us. They didn't care if we was educated. And as you can see today in Chicago, because earlier I said DC, which was, you know, my mistake, but when she was in the Chicago city schools, she realized this. And when you listen to a lot of the Chicago hip hoppers, you know, the youth that's in Chicago today, they all say there's a lot of schools shut down. You know, the children don't want to go to school. So this was a systematic plan to destroy Chicago. And this sister fought on the front line for years for Chicago and other cities like Chicago who was under attack educational wise. So we must honor this sister. And today we will honor her. And today we will never forget her. Dr. Barbara Sizemore, the educator. So shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm going to do my shout outs. I see people still coming in. Make sure y'all hit the like button. I appreciate everything. Shout out to my brother Rob. Barbara Sizemore and Lenore Bennett worked together along with Jacob Carruthers. That's great info, Brother Rob. Brother Rob is also an educator, and he's from Chicago. I wonder if Barbara Sizemore was one of the people who encouraged you, bro. The key is to teach kids to teach themselves. Now what to think about, not what to think about, but how to think. Learning will never stop with intellectual curiosity. Exactly. Shout out to Freddie. Shout out to Nerd Live. Welcome, sis. Shout out to Ebony Love. Welcome to Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Make sure you hit that like button. That's a good point, Nerd Live. Peace to BCFC. Howdy to my sister Black Beauty. Yep, you're right, bro. You're right. It all goes back to the lack of education. That's true, brother Rob. Shout out to Chef JT. Shout out to Mama L Boogie. Shout out to my brother, Uncle Shug. Yeah, I wish she was still around too, JT. Yep, that's what our children need, sis. Love, affection, and a good teacher. Shout out to Nobody. Shout out to Jalen. Shout out to the Truth Hurts podcast. Thanks for tuning in again, bro. I appreciate the love, man. Shout out to Sue Sizzle. Shout out to my sister Sheena. As always, showing love and support. I appreciate that. Shout out to my sister Soul Alchemy. Peace to you, sis. Shout out to my man Doug. What up, Doug? Shout out to Elm City. Thanks for tuning in and listening. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody, man. Y'all stay tuned because I will be back in about 10, 15 minutes with another live stream. You know, I'm going to be hitting y'all back to back to back tonight, y'all family. So y'all stay tuned for more on the Black History Month series for 2018 here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. I'm your gracious host, DS1 Ross. Shout out to all the supporters. Shout out to the Alliance. And we here, family. So y'all stay tuned. This was the 5th Black historian that I'm covering on my Black History Month series for 2018. This is Dr. Barbara Sizemore, the educator. Y'all get in tune with this sister. She's very, very powerful. So I'll be back, family, with another one on the Black History Month series 2018. I appreciate the love and the support and y'all time. We'll be back here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV in a minute. Peace out.